And speaking of fighting anybody, the NXT title on the line the night after WrestleMania on Raw with a rematch between Bron Steiner and Dolph Ziggler. And they do this a lot. I was happy to see this here because they actually gave them some time, and it's on a show that a lot of people are going to see. And Steiner's just incredible. But back in the old days, the audience at the pay-per-view, or the big show, as they say, the NXT stand and deliver, take out and carry out, or delivery, or whatever, would have been pissed. They thought they were going to, that would have been a destination point in the old days to see the big title change. Now they get their pud pulled on the big show, and then they tune into the free TV the following Monday and see the big title match. Folks don't care anymore, do they?
Remember, I said there was no reason to not have him win the title at that event, especially with his dad there. We'll talk about his dad in a little while, I'm sure. And then they turn around. We didn't even know they were going to turn around and just give it away on Raw. That's such an interesting move, I guess, to get more attention on... Because more people would watch that match on Raw than on NXT Stand and Deliver, right? Would that be the reasoning?
Well, I'm pretty sure it would be, because they're in a situation where they're still trying to get people on board with the two major programs to watch the NXT show. So that's the only reason I can think of, but it just seems very quick. Wouldn't, I don't know. And I guess they still wanted the people that were in Raw or that were in Dallas for the WrestleMania, or the WrestleMania after Raw, that were in Dallas for the Raw after WrestleMania. They still wanted them to see it before they left town, I guess. I don't know. I'm not going to argue because it was great. Because remember, Saturday, the NXT show for the first time exposed that Steiner got misdirected a time or two. But now they've got a chance to do this on TV and go all the way through it. And also they're fully talking about his family now. 2 weeks ago, they couldn't mention his father's name. And now they're talking about his whole family tree. And next week, we'll see his Little League pictures. I agree they should have been doing this all along. Or if not, as we mentioned, there was a way that they could have done it and then utilized Rick Steiner to get some sympathy on Bron Steiner. And in a warped way, that's what they're trying to do, but we'll take it apart here in a few minutes. Steiner needs to raise his arms in the tanning bed. Otherwise than that, he looks fantastic. They opened hot, and Steiner was perfect. Then Ziggler started healing on him. Ziggler has that great elbow drop. It's beautiful and not stiff is all I'm not even going to point out what to look for. Steiner has that quick turnaround power slam thing where if somebody goes for a leapfrog or just jumps up in the air, whatever, he comes in and just grabs them, turns them, and plants them at 100 miles an hour, but safely and in the perfect position. And he's strong enough to catch anybody, it seems like. They went through a break. Steiner's selling good. Ziggler got heat on him. And then Steiner makes a big comeback. Big clothesline. Those fucking high impact moves that he's landing them in good places, but you got to feel that shit. And then Rude distracted for a quick roll up, but Steiner nails Ziggler and then dove way over the top rope and cannonballed Robert Roode. And again, this is not, let's stand around and catch this guy as he runs over and comes and high. It's like this is fucking 260-pound freak is flying at you. But he goes back in. Ziggler hits the famouser, gets a 2 count. And they go back and forth, and Ziggler gets another 2 count with a super kick. And then he goes for another super kick yet, and Steiner hits the big spear, presses him, hits the power slam or the press power slam finish, 1, 2, 3. I'm actually glad in hindsight, all things considered, that they did this here instead of at the big show. Not, the people may have liked it better that attended the big show, But this was a so much better match, and more people saw it. And if a lot of people were going to see one of the two of them, this is the one they needed to see. And again, Steiner is just, I can't. Would it be back to Kurt Angle and or The Rock before you saw somebody that you just said, holy shit, here we go, like this?
Yeah, I mean, he seems ready to go too. It's weird when you see him on a main roster show like Raw in front of those fans and you hear their reaction, and then he's going to go back to NXT for how long? And why?
Well,
hopefully he'll be up there sooner rather than later.
Well, I can understand why the concept is they want him to go back to NXT and be the big fish in the smaller pond and get seasoning and experience, and that's well and good, and that's what he should be doing, except the problem is now that the seasoning and experience place is on national television. So, again, I'm not seeing yes, he can be portrayed as a top guy in that environment, whereas if he came into the main roster, well, there's stiffer competition and you can't just put Bron Steiner over everybody. But if your developmental is still on television and a lot of people are seeing this and it's available worldwide on the internet for anybody that doesn't see it on television, then you might, if the guy's already on the job training, I don't see what the difference is like you, except the way he might be used. Should we keep him off the main roster just so they don't have time to make a mistake with him this early? But otherwise, he's on national TV, and he's the next big star in wrestling. Everybody already knows what program he's on. So I'm not sure. I understand the concept of not starting him with the big leagues before he's ready, but he's already in a big league if you're on national TV. So they're going to see him grow up in front of their eyes. Thankfully, he's this good to begin with. And then I just said, well, I'm worried about how he's going to be used on the main roster and not NXT. But when we get to NXT, you'll see how apparently they're going to use him. And that's what I'm worried about. If that makes any sense. A lot of people, the Cornette, they did your thing. No, they did not do my suggestion on NXT. They did a thing involving someone I suggested they do a thing with, but they didn't do my thing.
After they blew through a match they could have built to.
Yeah. That they got that going for them too. They just gave that one away. Anyway, should we go back to Raw?
Should we or will we?
Will we? Well, we should, so we can get it over with. No,